right, I think we're live here. Looks like that's coming up on everything. Wow, look at that. The system works. Alrighty, get the little tweet out. See if anyone's in the chat yet. Doesn't look like it, but that's all right. We've still got a minute or two before we get this ball rolling here. So wait a minute. See what we're working with. Alrighty. 5 o'clock. That's where we're going to get started. All right. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful week, or if you caught us during this week on Wednesday, hope you had a wonderful couple of days. Last weekend, we worked on everything you can see here in the done column. So we worked on doing a little bit of thought about who the audience is going to be for this website or my portfolio. Reviewed my existing website, brainstormed some personal labels, and then began researching other portfolios slash personal websites. And then we saw two really awesome ones during the week as well. So that was pretty awesome. And today, what I want to focus on is sort of the to-do here. Thinking about what do I want to communicate about myself to my audience and the world at large, because this is a website and it will live on the internet and everybody can come and see it. So that's what the focus is going to be on today, kind of figuring out who, what the content is going to look like. And this is kind of fun. This sort of starts blending the world of UX and information architecture, kind of talking a little bit about content strategy here, and also all the work that we did earlier. So let's go and just do a really quick review about everything we worked on last time. So who's my audience? So we've got potential employers, my current blog audience, the other content audience, that would be all of y'all here, and other folks. We've got the Lambda sphere, so folks from Lambda School, and then the general audience, really just English speakers in the rest of the world. And then from the site review, this was all the stuff that we kind of noticed on the last website, or my current portfolio website. That's nick-basile.com if you haven't seen it and you want to take a look. And then some personal labels that sort of I identified last time. So my personal values of excellence in learning, work labels, or kind of things like in a career sense I can call myself, and then some personal labels as well. And then we took a look at some other portfolios that we liked here. So we took a look at Patrick, Derek's, Charlie's, Justin's, I think it's Ryan, but I'm not 100% sure. So a whole bunch of portfolios here, and then we had some other ones from Dribbble. So awesome. So let's hop right into this here. And so what we're going to be working on is what do I want? Like what do I want the content of my website to start looking like? And so there are a couple ways to think about this. So let me go ahead and add a heading here. Site content. And actually what I want to do is, instead of putting this here, I want to actually make a spreadsheet, because I tend to think in terms of spreadsheets. I just think it's an easier way to organize my thoughts. So I'll just link this. So let's see here. And if you hit Command K and go to find more, you can go to your drive here. And I should really name this. So we'll call this portfolio content. Nice. And we can do a little search. Portfolio content. And that'll pull that guy up. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Where'd it go? I don't want to click on it. Only a little plus sign shows up. Looks like it broke. I don't know what happened. That's strange. All right, so that was going to be my really cool Google Drive trick for the day, but we won't do that. We'll just, it's local for me, so I can just grab these links and just do Command K like that and paste it in. And I know that's just kind of a habit I like to get into if I have like a Word doc here that I have a lot of details about a project, and then I have offshoots in different places where I'm doing some work. just having hyperlinks to them, so that way you do have like one source of truth for all of your information, and then you can hop around and look around for other places pretty easily from one place. I just think that's sort of a nice thing to do. So what I'm going to kind of call and start organizing these things, everything should have a name. So every piece of content that I'm thinking about adding to the site should have a name. It should have an audience as well. That's sort of the next important thing. So what audience does this piece of content talk to? And that's just kind of a nice way to really, when I start writing this content, it should be written for with a specific audience in mind. So that just kind of refocuses me and reminds me about what this piece of content should be all about. And then I'm going to add like a content type to this. Content type kind of is a phrase that I learned from Drupal, which was a content management system, and other folks have seen some. I think it comes from sort of the world of CMSs. So it basically means like how do you, when you're organizing your content, how do you, like, is this something that is repeatable and something you can duplicate, or is this more like a standoff, one piece of content? So for an example of that, so if like I had an e-commerce website, like a content type would be like an item for sale. And then like that would be the content type, but then I would have like shoes and t-shirts and pants. Like, then that would be content of that type, like sale item or something like that. And that just kind of is a way to think about some of this stuff, and will help once I start thinking about the information architecture, or like the site map, or how I'm going to organize all this information together in a website. Hello, sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat here. Is this going? Yeah, this is definitely going to be on YouTube. I put all of my videos on YouTube after they've been recorded, so you can hop into the. I think you just scroll down the screen a little bit and look at the about there, and there are links to that YouTube channel. And I'm putting them into a playlist, so you can watch them in order if you ever want to do that again. Awesome. So let me go ahead and make that half the screen, make that the other half, because I like looking at two pieces of content here, because I want to look at who my audience is going to be. So in terms of content, and what exactly I want to be adding to this website, you can think of this in really big terms, and then you can think about this in much smaller terms as well. So in terms of like big terms would be like pages, like so the landing page will have some information, the careers page will have some information. I don't want to think in that mindset just yet, because I don't know what I want my information architecture to really be just yet. So I'm going to just kind of start brainstorming names for pieces of content. I'm actually going to look at my existing site because I want to make sure I'm going to start there, and then I can start brainstorming from what I already have. So we kind of have this hero section. Ooh, be good if I was typing in the wrong spot. Right spot. All right, so we have this hero section / UVP. I'm going to make this column a little larger. And in terms of an audience, this one is really for everybody. So I want to call this the general audience here. This is my sort of intro to the page. Hello, who am I? And so in terms of a content type, I don't know, this feels like a really like one-off piece of content. So I'm not going to necessarily give it a content type just yet. And then I have like these sort of my expertise labels. I'm actually just going to ignore those for now. I don't necessarily think we're going to do that. Tweets. So that's definitely a piece of content. And again, this would also, I think, fall into that general category. And then latest blog posts. So latest blog posts. And so this is an interesting piece of content because it is for my blog audience, but also it ties into like potential employers. This is a way for me to signal that I'm thinking about things that are relevant to my field and talking about it. It also is relevant to the other audience. It could be interesting to the Lambda sphere, and then the general audience could be just on the site checking me out and then saying, oh, he has a blog, this is interesting. So I'm going to specify the blog. Be good if I was on the right page here. I'm going to specify blog audience to start. And then have like a secondary audience just be the general. I'm saying general. Well, I know it's labeled here as English speakers in the rest of the world, but I'm kind of using that as a catch-all term for everybody else who's coming to the page. And that is not necessarily a content type. We're kind of, I'm going to label it under blog posts because it could be related. We have an about me. I'm actually going to make these bold. A little bit of text hierarchy here. And again, I think this should be general. And this kind of comes back to my overall philosophy for this website here. So at this point in my career, I am concerned with having hiring managers or potential employers, future bosses, like come to this and look at this and be impressed with what I have here. But I'm also like I'm working on building a little bit of a brand here and having a little bit more of a content audience going on. And of course, I'm very interested in having my Lambda students and instructors and potential partners come and look at me and feel impressed as well. So while I prioritize this sort of with potential employers up top, I'm a little less concerned with them and a little bit more trying to just promote myself within my audience spheres. And so that's why that's really different, I think, than somebody who's just starting out, who's really trying to land their first job. I think at that point, it is like the hiring manager is definitely going to be the more of a central focus. So because I've got sort of a wide net here in terms of an audience, a lot of this is going to feel more general, applicable to everybody. Whereas in your case, it might be much more laser focused on, okay, this is the hiring managers, and I want to be talking directly to them. So again, keep that in mind when you're working on your content versus my content. And then we've got the get in touch here. Ooh, doing that again. Get in touch. Sort of contact form. That's kind of general. It'd be interesting though to have a targeted one for different folks. So for instance, you could have a really targeted one on your careers, in the careers section, for hiring managers, and then another more targeted one on the blog post, like, hey, get in touch with me if you have any questions. So that could be experimented on. Let's see here. We've got some social content. We've got some footer content. I'm not going to worry so much about this because I think it'll just come with the website. So I don't think we necessarily have to worry about it. I'm going to throw down newsletter form here. For those of you joining us now, we're just continuing on with what we were working on last week. So focusing on what do I want to communicate about myself to my audience and the world. And to do that, we're just doing a little bit of a content audit here. Kind of going through the content that currently exists on my site. And then I'm going to probably start brainstorming some more content that I want to add to this website as well. So thank you for joining us. So this is really more targeted. It's targeted at my blog audience as a way to convert, but then also I would probably say my other content audiences. Ooh. That's driving me crazy. All right, other content. Ooh. That's fine. Cool. So that's the this page here. So let's go to the careers page and keep working it. And this could be just kind of forms. This could also be forms. Again, trying to think of like, okay, this is similar information. Can this start becoming a content type or not? Everything else though feels a little more one-off. So this is the careers page. So we have different sort of like this job. I guess past jobs would be a way to describe them. Past jobs, and this is really, I think, to the hiring audience, and then the general audience, anyone just coming to look at me. And this kind of feels like career content, so I'm going to add a label to it. We also have filters up here. I guess we'll call these career filters. And again, that's for the hiring audience, general audience, career. So this, again, is really applicable to me because I have some existing content to go through and kind of look at. If you're starting out and just doing this on your own, this is more of a brainstorming exercise. Like, what do I want to tell the world about me? So for you, for instance, you could kind of think of like, okay, how do I show my past jobs? How do I show my current works? And then you can think about it in that sense, as opposed to me where I'm kind of just reviewing what I currently have. which it feels a little different. But after I'm done cataloging what I have, I do want to talk about how I'm going to come up with some new ideas here. Cool. So these are skills. That's another piece of data that I want to highlight. And we'll just copy and paste. Ooh, be good if I could do this today. And this also feels like career content. And my resume. That's also in here, kind of hidden. And we'll throw that in here. Cool. And then if we open this up, we kind of have the about in here and then some details. I think I'm just going to, like, that just kind of falls under past jobs here. So I'm just going to maybe make a note. So with additional details. Cool. There it is. Nice. All right. And so now we have the portfolio part. Always fun. And again, we've got some filters. We've got the resume in here. These are, I'm just going to call them case studies. I think that's a pretty good generic term. Again, I think this is targeted towards the hiring and the general audiences, hiring being the primary. And we'll call this sort of portfolio as a content type. Be good if I could spell when everyone's watching. Let's see here. So we'll call this sort of case study filters. Just to be a little consistent. Nice. And then yeah, that's kind of it in here. Oh, we have some skills here. So I'm gonna say career skills here. And then case study skills. So it's always good to just go back and review work you've done in the past and kind of say, like, is this something, like I forgot that I even had this. And so it's like, okay, let me just remind myself that this is a real part of it. And then I've got some actual specific career content here. And that kind of goes into case studies. So I'm going to, again, make a note with additional content. Nice. And then finally, we've got the blog. So we've got sort of the blog index, which is what I'll call this page kind of here. And this is sort of the blog audience, and then in general as well. And this feels like blog, obviously feels like blog content, and we'll actually make that into a blog. Let's see here. So we've got posts. So we've got blog posts. And this all will go with that. Makes sense here. This is not the most exciting stuff in the world, but it really sets, I think, a really nice foundation for everything else you might be working towards here. We've got blog tags. That's kind of what I want this whole process to be about, is looking at like the boring stuff, quite frankly, because nobody talks about that in the blog post. No one shows you how much work really goes into building something like this. And that's what we're taking a look at with this whole live stream. So I kind of have a call to action in here. Let's call this coaching CTA. And this is really targeted at my blog audience, but also sort of other content. And that's something I'm still debating if I want to continue doing that. So it's something for me to think about for sure. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Nice. I just don't really have the time anymore. That's why I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep doing that. And then on the read pages, it's just a blog article. That all makes sense. And then this is just tag content. Awesome. And that's kind of my content audit for what I'm doing with my, that should be a CTA, not GTA. Good game though. Cool. So that's just kind of a look at what I currently have. And now I'm just trying to think of all the other content that I have and what I might want to sort of include in here. So I think I've got some YouTube videos. And that's kind of other content. I've got the Twitch channel, as we all know, at this moment. So definitely something I want to think about including. How do I include this into what I'm talking about here, or when I talk about myself? What other content might I have? Does anyone in the chat have any ideas? Love to hear what y'all are thinking. I'm trying to think here. I want to tell. So right now my about me is really small. It's like a paragraph, not even. And I do want to have a little bit more of a personal narrative in this. So like my story / personal narrative. I don't know how I'm going to include this, but that's something I want to talk to people about a little more. One thing I've really found and something that it took a long time for me to think about was authenticity and how far that goes to connecting you to other people. And that's that's all business and getting hired and doing a job. It's just everything has to do with other people. And so whether you like it or not, and I lean on the introverted side of the spectrum, so I understand it's hard sometimes to get out there and talk to people. But really, the more authentic and communicative and really just real you can be with people, the better chances you have to connect with them and to have a relationship and to propel yourself forward. So definitely something to consider when writing your own narrative is how do you tell your story and how do you include that as well. So definitely something I want to be thinking about here. Oh, and that kind of reminds me as I'm making a call for feedback here. This is a different time, I know, sorry, and I thank you all for coming with me here. Is it a better time, though? That's a good question. It's something that I'm kind of asking myself here. So if you like this time, let me know in the chat. If you like the other time, also let me know. Because I'm open to being flexible and working with what works for everybody else. So last time we met Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and that worked, I think, well for me. I think it sounded like it worked well for other folks. So if that's good, let me know. If not, if this time works better, or maybe maybe Sunday morning works better, let me know. And I love to be flexible about that. Awesome. So we've got some career information here, and all of this is starting to come together nicely. So my story, personal narrative. Let's go back and look at some of the other sites that we looked at here, because again, so that's why we keep the catalog of like the information, just because it then you can refer back to it, and that I think is really nice. So let's see here. Saturday morning, anytime of the weekend though. Prefer mornings personally. Yeah, I like mornings too. I'm a little sharper in the morning as well, so I think that's better for everybody. So definitely, this weekend was a little crazy. I was traveling a little bit, but definitely want to keep trying to do these in the morning for sure. Thanks for the feedback though. So let's look at a few of these. Like I was saying, it's important to be able to refer back to the inspiration that you're seeking and see what other folks are doing and how you want to how they're presenting themselves, because again, that comes back to like external consistency. And I talked about that on Wednesday a little bit, but for those of you who might not know, external consistency, there's a rule on the web that people spend more time on other people's websites than they do on your website. That makes sense, right? People might come to your portfolio page for maybe 5-10 minutes. Maybe if you have a blog, they're here a little longer and a little more often. But for the most part, they're not spending tons of time on your website, which is totally fine. That's part of the web, right? But so people get used to patterns and seeing things presented in certain ways. And so when we think about, okay, how do I want to like tie in my own communication? Your portfolio, yes, is a chance for you to be really creative and unique, and I think that's important. But it's also interesting to look at what other people are doing and what sort of the market is kind of saying is this is good information and this is good content that we want to see from you. So let's see here. All right, Justine. So she's got sort of this UVP hero section here. Links to her social. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't notice this the first time that these are different, and they kind of align with the brand color. So I think medium's green and dribbles that nice pink color. She's got her case studies here. Experience, and she has a really nice personal narrative. Interesting way to present the blog. That's interesting that she's using Medium. It's funny, these days, I think a lot of people were really excited about Medium when it first came out, and I am too. I like Medium a lot. But now they're starting to put up more paywalls, and so people are moving back to their own personal website. So it's interesting. And she talks about her tech events, which is pretty cool. And there's more. Nice. I like this site a lot. And Charlie's site, he's really focusing on what he does, his writing. Interesting. This seems to be sort of a common pattern here a little bit. We're left aligned, just sort of details about what the blog post is. I think that's kind of interesting. We got Derek's site here. See, and that's what I mean by talking about. I went to Echoes again. Oh, that's a bummer. I thought I fixed that. Let me try looking here. Was it okay at the beginning? Okay earlier, or is it still echoing? Clicking on the wrong spot. Input. Man, that's going to be annoying. Progressively came in? That's so weird. super weird. I'm sorry, I don't... So I thought I fixed it, and then now it looks like it's not cooperating with me. Let me try. Maybe that fixed it? That's a bummer. I'm sorry. So I thought I had fixed it. I thought I had some issues with my input-output settings, but and apparently not. It's your AirPods. Might do that once in a while. Just restart them. Oh, okay. Let me try that. Did that work? Did it get better? Right on. Maybe it is. I can switch to a headset, I guess. Actually, I don't know if I have the ports for that. Oh, I do. I think I have one port for it. They're okay now? Yeah. Thank you. It probably is the AirPods. I don't know. We can experiment with those. But like I was saying, yeah, Medium, all the good articles. Yeah, like Kurt was saying, all the good articles are behind a paywall now. It feels that way. So people are moving back to their blogs. And looking back at these two websites here, we're starting to see this pattern, right? Like, oh, this is how they're... is it back again? Here, let me try just going down to one of these. I honestly don't need headphones on. I don't know. Just nice to hear the... Oh, thank you for the subscribe. Yeah, see, that's why I keep the headphones on, because I get the notification that way. Let me try going with something like this. See if this will work. Did it get better now that the headphones are off? Is that better for everyone? Because I know the echoes are super annoying. I don't want to be trying to talk to everybody with this echo going on the whole time. Let me go back to my... Much better? Okay. All right. Good to know. The AirPods are... For any other streamers out there, the AirPods have issues. All right. I think this is back to... That's good to know. Cool. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for helping me troubleshoot that. I appreciate it. Cool. So, what was I saying here? So, yeah. So now we're starting to see a pattern, which I think is just interesting. It's not one for one, right? They've each presented this in their own unique way. But for the most part, it's just kind of a list of articles here, and they're kind of saying, click on these and get some more info. So looking at Derek's, so again, I think Derek does a nice job with his narrative, and then his actual homepage is his blog. And he's got more of sort of a bigger preview kind of setup going on, which I think is nice, but I don't know. I think that I prefer more of a snappy preview. And then Patrick is, again, kind of focusing just on his like unique value proposition here. He's got some experience that he's talking about. He's like a back button. Talks. Again, yeah, kind of that left alignment setup there. So it's just interesting to see how other people are talking about themselves and what they're talking about themselves. So it looks like Charlie and Justine kind of had the most content. Events, blogs, and they all kind of have this one page sort of aesthetic going here. I think that's really interesting, right? Versus my site, I mean, Derek's site kind of has multiple pages, and Patrick's does, but I think they're both, I don't remember if Derek is a designer or not, or if he's he's a developer, versus the designers, they have the single page setup going, which is, oh, she's a developer, designer, developer, so full stack, everything. Unicorn, as they call them, which I think is pretty cool. Versus Derek and Patrick, who have a little bit more of the multi-page thing going on. So interesting. These are the kind of insights that I'm looking for when I'm reviewing other people's portfolios. For inspiration, for sure. Nice. So, but I don't think, based on the content that we've kind of got listed here, I don't think we're missing anything per se. We've got kind of stuff that's specific to my site, but nothing that's like, man, I'm really missing the details. Yeah, she's got so much personality. I love her site, actually. I think she's done such a nice job presenting herself and also what she's good at, right? That's what more can you ask for in a portfolio? So I think there's definitely, and she obviously has gotten a photographer and done a nice photo shoot here and really thought about the photos she wants to be talking about and using. So I think she's done a good job, and that's really cool. That's like VR stuff. That's a good, like it's she's communicating through the images, not just her personality, but also that she's like an intelligent person who's well versed in this field and doing cool things in this field. And so again, like images tell a story, content tells a story, and that's part of our jobs as designers. And she does a really excellent job at that. Awesome. Although one gripe I have is that she's using this sort of animation. And it's clickable, which is nice. Instead of having affordance like this, like making the page a little smaller, which I don't think Charlie did that too. He's just got the arrow versus like this. That's why I have my expertise here, just to show that there's more on the page. So again, but again, this is when you consider your audience. If you're showing this to like tech hiring managers and other designers, they kind of know that there should be more to this website potentially. So they are probably more likely to scroll than your average audience or member of the public, right? So considering that audience, making sure that makes sense. Cool. So we've got our content here. We've got a hero section. We've got tweets. We've got blog posts, about me, get in touch, newsletter, past jobs. Okay. So one thing I think is interesting and just kind of starting to think now about, and this is actually, we're going to probably start blending. I was thinking, I was jumping the gun too much. I was trying to get all the way to this card, starting to think, I got really excited by the other portfolios and started to slip into solution space, which is, and now but I really need to stay a little bit more on the problem space right now and think about what about myself am I trying to communicate? So this is, again, that's something as a designer you have to catch yourself from doing sometimes. So let's see here, what else do we have? We got filters, we got the resume, log index, posts, coaching, CTA. Cool. Cool. Get a little water here. All right. So now I think we kind of at a point where we can probably start writing a lot of this content and borrowing things that I've written in the past, and also really starting to think about how I'm going to put all of this that we've done into words. And for that, I'm going to kind of come up with a new document here. Rename this portfolio content. And there are lots of ways to do this. I'm just doing it the way I know how to do it. So let me actually change this. And we're going to call this not the wireframe, but kind of our content audit. It's not exactly what this is, but I think for the most part it'll work. And we'll just call this like call it content. What's the phrase for when you can build a website but you aren't a developer? I don't want to call myself a developer because I'm not really. Web UI dev, digital prototyper. Good questions. I would say it depends on how good and confident you are in your code abilities. So like if you can build a website with HTML, CSS, that feels more like what you were saying, like a UI developer. But when you are really good at JavaScript and you can use like a front-end framework, that starts to feel like a front-end developer. And then with the database, building on a back-end, that's when you start becoming full stack or a back-end engineer. I like the phrase digital prototyper. I think that's really cool. You can't just say you're a designer. I'm assuming you're a designer, so you could say like you're a designer with code skills, the ability to code out ideas. I think that is also super valuable. So it kind of, like they're really. That's the problem with tech these days is there's not like a one-to-one correlation between a job title and what you are expected to be able to do. I think a UI dev though you're going to get pretty far with that as a terminology for how you want to present yourself. So that makes sense to me. So just content. What was I saying here? Site content. This will just be content writing. I don't know. I don't really have anything better than that. Cool. Yeah, glad that could help. All right, what's that called? Content writing. Oh, I guess we could call it what it is. Or what I called it. Portfolio content. Okay. And we're probably going to. So I'm thinking about what is my unique value proposition. We might slide into that on accident here in a second. So let's go ahead and add a title. Nice. And I'm going to go ahead and make this 12. And update the normal text to match. Cool. I don't know why they make an 11. I always feel like it's not enough content, or not large enough for me. So I'm going to, there are a lot of ways to do this. You can think about like and one thing that I often tell people who haven't thought about their narrative and who they are and how they want to present themselves is to kind of write your personal story, and really think about like how you want to present yourself to your audience. So that's a way to do it. You think someone was asking if it's worth? Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked in the chat here. I think it's worth starting to learn React now in 2019. Yeah, I think React's going to be around for a few years more, at least. I'm more of a Vue.js dev, so I think learning either of those is a great way to go. I haven't really seen anything coming out that's like going to replace React or Vue. So if you know something I don't, feel free to share it. But yeah, I totally think React's worth learning. I think a lot of people are hiring for React right now. So I think it's a totally valid way to go. So what was I saying here? Yeah, so if you're new to this and you haven't really thought about who you are, go ahead and write out your sort of your personal story, your personal narrative, and then go from there, and then start thinking about how do I fit that into my audience and their expectations. Yeah, who am I? Like what am I? AI big data will replace React? I don't think so. I think AI and big data are very important, but React is a way to present maybe the interpretations and the findings you're getting from AI and big data. And I think they're solving two very different problems. So I don't think AI and big data are going to replace React. Maybe when the AI is smart enough to write its own front-end code and JavaScript framework, it will replace it. But I think those are kind of two different areas, generally. Maybe I misread that. That could have been about something else. Oh, yes, memeing. Yes, I took it too literally. Hey, how's it going, Olu? Cool. So, yeah, we'll have a lot bigger problems when the AI is writing its own code for sure. Yes, than learning React. Big time. Okay, cool. So what was I starting to talk about? Okay, so writing the personal narrative. So I've kind of thought about who I am and myself, and I have content to pull from, and that being my existing site. But I have thought about kind of who I am, and that came from our discovery and working with those personal labels a little bit. And then also like the narrative I've constructed about myself and how I tell that. So I kind of want to take this time now to really think about that. And then from there, we can kind of roll on and see how we start translating text into our overall visual design. So today probably we'll spend a lot of time writing, and then maybe next week or the week after, we'll really start getting into the visual design, depending on what else we can get rolling. Nice. So let's kind of call this. I like the who am I, about me. Let's just call it about me. And this really like feels like a lot of work probably to get rolling, but we all construct our narratives sort of implicitly, and until you get it onto paper and out in the open, you can't really deconstruct it and think about it and how to really improve it. Like, sure, you can have like in your head like, oh, I'm Nick and I do this and I do that, But until you get that onto a piece of paper, you can't really start editing and chopping and moving around pieces. And that's what that's the value in putting it on paper and writing it out and really getting a feel for it in a more physical, tangible sense than just trying to do it all in your head and like, all right, this feels like kind of, I don't know, hokey pokey kind of stuff. And I'm going to design the website and I'll come back to this. Like this is the foundation. If you don't have this, it doesn't matter what your visual design or how well you're writing the code is going to look. This is what, if you don't have the story about who you are, you don't have anything of value to add to any conversation. And that's why we're focusing here at first. So, let's think about this. So one thing, and this is something, this little sentence is kind of one way that I've always been describing myself. And I've kind of consistently used it throughout all of my, social media and digital profiles. So, hi, I'm Nick. I live in Austin, Texas, where the sun is hot and the tacos are plentiful. Just kind of a fun way to introduce myself, where I am, kind of a little bit more about me. I do love a good taco. So it's just a nice kind of way to be a little bit more social as well. Yeah, definitely. Putting things on paper develops a flow. It works that narrative. So the whole thing just feels just more concrete. You can work with it. And then on Twitter, I just wanted to look at something else here, because this is another way I'm starting to describe myself as I build digital things, and I think that's true. I don't love it because it's very vague, but it's a pretty action oriented statement, and I do like that. So let's see, digital things, and then like the nice thing of like having all the labels. This is a visual presentation, but having all the labels below it is a way to kind of say like, okay, I do build digital things, but these are the ways that I kind of connect to it. So anyway, those are just two phrases that I've kind of been using and kind of a place that I want to start from in my About Me. Also kind of, and let me just copy and paste these. Also, let me grab these and bring them over as well. And this is okay. This is kind of, always when I'm kind of doing this, reminds me of the Marie Kondo, kind of like you got to get all your clothes out onto the bed and then you can start to organize them and put them together and get a feel for everything. Otherwise, they're in the closet and you can't think about them. I don't know if I did this right, but all right, that'll play for what we need to be doing. So these are kind of the things that I want to say about myself. And considering who my audience is and all that stuff is important, but we have to come up with a narrative and then we can focus it and make it work. So what is going to be important about me? So the hardest thing that I have in terms of constructing my narrative is that I have a real breadth of experience here and in these labels. And that's why like Nick Builds Digital Things is like vague enough and large enough that encapsulates a lot of these things. But it misses some other things, like it misses teacher and mentor and phrases like that. And like content creator, it really just kind of focuses on the design, developer, product manager side of things. So I think that's really interesting. So let's look at what like Justine says. So she's got some labels. Team player, that's a nice one. Tells you what she's looking for and what she does, and then just kind of a nice way to do some personality. Charlie, really to the point. And that's me as well. Cool. So I like Hi, I'm Nick. I think that's a nice way to lead off. And there's no right way or wrong way to do this. I'm just going to show you guys how I do this. And if it's going to be real organic, it's going to be messy, but that's what we're getting at here. So let's see. Hi, I'm Nick. Let's see. I build digital things. What else do I want to say? And maybe kind of phrase it as a... and actually that's... So I was talking about... it's funny, I don't normally speak or narrate my writing, so this is an interesting challenge for me. So hi, I'm Nick. Good start, right? We're getting there. It reminds me of that SpongeBob episode where he just draws the really big letter and then never writes the rest of his paper. Kind of where we're at right now. So I was talking about that sort of... that issue I have where I've got a breadth of labels here, and then I want to come up with those. Yeah, he draws out the whole the. How do you easily think up personal labels? That's pretty hard. You just kind of have to sit there and brainstorm for a little bit, and it helps with experience. Like when you know the industry and like what phrases people are using, I think that really helps. So, for instance, like I didn't know what a full stack developer was until I started learning about development and how to become one, or like marketer or content creator, and so as you learn, it kind of is like a chicken and the egg kind of problem. But I think there are the blinking stationary cursor. Yeah, I think there are, you can probably go online and find labels. You probably already have labels that you use to define yourself, and that's where you should start, right? Based on your past experience or what you've wanted to be, and I think they can be aspirational too, for sure. Like entrepreneur for me, like that's something I've done. I've worked in a lot of businesses and I've tried to start many businesses, but I still haven't been super, like I don't have my killer product just yet. That made me a super successful entrepreneur. So that's a label for me that's like, okay, that's lived experience, but that's also aspirational. And I think that's okay as well. And when you're defining yourself. So that's kind of one way to think about it. So I don't know if you can easily do it, but if you put in a little bit of brainstorming effort and kind of just think about, okay, who am I and what, how do I currently define myself with these labels, and then how do I, where do I want to define myself, and then as you get towards those, you can start saying like, okay, I really feel confident that this is something I can add or think about that think about in myself. That's kind of how I've done it. Another good kind of tip is like you can just ask people in the industry or role that you want to get into. Just kind of say like, how would you define somebody who does this? Kind of what we had a question there earlier, like how do you define somebody who does like HTML and CSS but not the rest of it? And we kind of brainstormed and came up with the like UI developer, right? So if you ask people in your field or prospective field about what labels they're using, that could be another way for you to come up with some on your own. And then some of them are like bigger concepts, right? Like my personal labels, like traveler, foodie, reader, thinker, tinkerer. Like those are big generic labels. I think anyone can come up with those. It just really, do you feel like you fit that bill, so to speak? So yeah, good question here. So what was I talking about before? So yeah, I think that's great personality there. Kind of calling yourself the tall, lanky friend in the group that everyone uses as a landmark. That could be a really nice piece of your tall could be one of your personal labels, and then you can work that into your narrative in some way or another. I think that'd be really funny. And again, inject your personality into what you're trying to say. So that's totally down the right track. Hi, I'm Nick. Let's see. Oh, okay. What was I saying? So I was trying to say like the issue I have is the breadth with a lot of stuff I do, and it's kind of hard for me to be like, I just do one thing. And maybe that's where I should be starting, right? That's something that I will probably want to communicate to people. And there are a couple of different ways to say this, but like I could say like, I'm a bit of a hot mess. Like that's a funny way to say it, like to start with that. At least funny to me. Another way we could think about this, like I'm a polyglot, like polyglot or something like that. Yeah, that's funny. Oh, it'd be good if I could spell it today. Polyglot builder. One thing that I've seen is like this label of being a maker, and there are a couple of there's like a trend in like the startup and product space as well, where people are kind of saying like these makers are people who do a little bit of everything in order to build products. So like I'm a digital maker. What I currently call myself a web and business artisan. It's another piece of content I could think about. And this is getting a little bit into what I was talking about here, my unique value proposition. But we'll need to refine that a bit more. So I'm not afraid to just kind of start from here. So I'm a web and business artisan. Really like web and business artisan. Yeah, I like it too. I don't know if it's all encompassing enough anymore. I like digital, right? As well. So maybe like I'm a digital artisan. I'm liking that. Let's write that out. Digital artisan. I like the artisan mindset where you're crafting something by hand and putting a lot of thought and care and love into it. Like that's something that I definitely want to bring to the table. So I'm a digital artisan. I'm wondering if that's too vague or not, but let's see. Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a digital artisan. I like that. All right, we're gonna start from there. So, hi, I'm Nick. And I still live in Austin, so I'm going to keep using this just because I like. I don't know. I like the message it's sending. I'm a digital artisan, and so digital creator. Yeah, that's true too. But that focuses a little bit more on my content. I guess it doesn't. It is larger. I like to think that the things that I'm creating are artisanal. Oh, is the echo back? That's not good. We've totally switched input output here. So I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Huh. That's frustrating. Hopefully it goes away. Try this again. It's weird. I wonder if that happens. No, there's only the one live on OBS. It's more empathetic as a creator or as an artisan. I see what you're saying. Artisan feels more sort of highbrow, whereas creator, anyone can be a creator. That's a good point. I like where that is. So let's add this to our list here. Digital. Boy, tough times. Oh, I see. Gotcha. I create artisanal digital goods. That's actually kind of funny, right? Because it's like, who creates artisanal digital goods? I don't know if I like goods, maybe products. So let's see here. I like build. Artisanal. That's all right. Hopefully for the moment. Nope. Close. Not artificial. That's a whole different thing. Boy, I'm having artisanal. The Gucci of digital products. Yeah, that would be a great label to have. That's how I spelled it, right? Boy, I'm having a tough time. Let me see how you spelled it. Artisanal? Isn't that it? Well, to the Google. That's what it's spelled. There we go. So I built artisanal digital products. I like that. Artisanal digital products. It's an interesting way to describe it here. Nice. Okay, so I like where this is heading. I'm going to take a step back though, because I feel like we're hopping down to the UVP, and I want to focus a little bit more on the narrative of myself. So let me bring this back to here. Kind of talk about my narrative a little more. So where the question is, where do I want to start? So right now I'm starting in the present. The other thing I can do is start in the past and talk about everything that's led up to this point. So that's an approach. But I think I like starting in the present a little bit more. And let's just call it like I am. Let's see, I've worked as a UX designer, full stack developer, product manager, marketer, entrepreneur, and teacher. In my free time, yeah, that's pretty funny. I do definitely indulge my hobbies. In my free time, what do? I teach other people how to build their, well, I guess in this case portfolios, but I've taught a couple of things. So let's just say design and code. Keep it simple. Ooh, tacos would be good now. Maybe we'll get that for dinner. I also love to travel, try new foods, tinker with new with ideas, and read. Okay, so these are the things I like to do. And so this is like at a very core, basic level, who I am, right? This is kind of my work labels mixed in with my personal labels. And sort of a segue in the middle there with teaching. And so from here, it's like, okay, this is great, but how do we expand this into something a little bit more fleshed out and filled out? Instruct and mentor others on designing and programming. Sure. I think that's fine. I don't like to call myself a programming instructor because I feel like it's like programming is more computer science, and I just teach people like this is PHP and Vue and JavaScript. So I I never like calling myself a programmer just because I feel, again, this is like semantics and labels and how they work with each other. But it's an interesting concept, right? I instruct and mentor others on design, others on design principles. That's true. That's definitely true. I don't know. I feel like we're losing some action orientedness of it. Like I instruct, like that feels really formal, whereas like I teach is like, okay, that could be any setting. And again, that's sort of a part of my personality. I'm fairly informal and colloquial. So I like to continue to use that language. So I teach folks how to design and code. I like that. I like where that's heading. I also love to travel, try new foods, think with ideas, and read. And then I've worked as is a little not what I want to be. Like I have worked as that, but I'm still working as that. So that needs to be a little bit more in the present tense. So let's just call that I'm. I'm trying to think about if that is enough. I help others learn amazing design and build beautiful websites. Yeah, that's a subjective value statement. And I do. I like to think I do. And so that's kind of where I wouldn't want to make that value statement. I think I would leave that up to the individual. Like I help other, like, I don't know if it's amazing design, and I don't know if they're building beautiful websites. I'd like to think that, but I don't know if I would put that if that's truthful or if that's just aspirational. Did I miss an apostrophe somewhere? Oh, I see what's going on. Thanks. So cool. All right, I like where this is heading. I don't love the segue here, and I feel like these are okay. I think the segue here is okay. But this like beginning part, I think could use a little bit of work here. My career, I think that's an interesting way to start. Career, I've been, excuse me. Well, learn design that may or may not be amazing and build a website that could potentially be nice. Yeah, that's kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek way to say it. I saw someone had kind of a similar idea, like testimonials. Oh, and that was actually something I was considering adding to this site. But what was I going to say? They had a testimonial from Slackbot, and it was like, I can't understand what you're saying, which is what a Slackbot error message. And I thought that was kind of a funny testimonial. And so again, like walking that line between humor and who you are and telling people about that's a line to walk, and you can if you're funny. I think humor in text is really hard because it's so subjective, and so I like to say one or two funny things, but I don't love to like intersperse it throughout all of my writing. So, oh, thanks, I appreciate that, Kermit. That would be awesome. And so I'm actually going to add that because that's a thought that I did have. Okay, no worries. Testimonial. And this could just be general. That'd be hiring. That's general. Content. So let's see here. Let's see here. Austin, Texas. Sun is hot. Tacos are plentiful. UX designer. Full stack developer. I don't love the MI. I think there's something missing at the beginning of that sentence there. But I'm not quite sure what. I don't know. I don't think it has to be perfect for now though, so we can keep rolling with it. Let's see, my free time, design code. I also love to travel, try new foods, tinker with ideas, and read. Cool. I think that's a good starting point for now. So let's see here. So from here, and this is again, this is kind of just my general story. You can get like really detailed into this. So I've been around the block for a few times now, and so I can tell like a really long story, and it's like, I went to college, and then I was at this company, and I learned these skills, and I went to that company, I learned these skills. And that's a really great narrative to have about yourself. And if this is your first time like doing this kind of an exercise, tell that full narrative, right? Like start with the earliest thing you want to start with. So maybe if you're a little younger, that's like, okay, start with your high school self, or even middle school. I don't know if there are any middle schoolers watching, but start with where you are in like a few years back from where you want to start your narrative. College, or if you went to college, that seems like a place to start, but otherwise you can do it however you want, or whatever makes sense for you, and really like write that full narrative out. I've kind of done that. Coming up with ways to talk about yourself without starting sentences with I and I've is a super fun struggle for sure. I think on a personal portfolio site, you can use I as much as you want. That third person thing is really hard though. So, but I think for you guys, keep it as in the language that you're familiar with and easy to write with, and just start your narrative at the earliest point you want, and then kind of say like, what's your full story? So I'm not going to do that here just because it would take a long time. And I'm not sure I would get tons of value out of it. And that's why I'm kind of focusing more on these labels and what I'm my career versus my free time stuff. But if you and this is another way you can kind of come up with your personal labels as well if you're trying to think of those. So what was I going to say here? So yeah, so just kind of write out your full story, and then from there you can kind of take the bits and pieces and kind of edit that into something a little bit more concise. But in a nutshell, this is kind of what I want to tell people, right? So who I am, a little bit of personality, what my labels are that I'm currently kind of using, and then a little bit more of like who I am as a person. And I think this is kind of fine to start with. So I'm going to actually bring this back over to here and just kind of leave it there. And that's not the full site content. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more content, but that might come in as we're designing. But that's essentially what I want to communicate about myself to the audience, to my audience in the world. Cool. And so let me roll into my unique value proposition. And we were kind of doing that a little bit before. So let me grab this guy. UVP. I don't know why the tabs are off there. And we had a few ideas from earlier. Let me just grab these so we can keep rolling with him. And we're working with I build artisanal digital products, which is kind of fun. Digital creator. I like that one as well. Web and business artisan. So I build. I do a few things. I do a couple of things that can kind of be kind of funny, but it's not specific. And that's like what I think you kind of need this to be. Yeah, it is really hard to come up with something that's simultaneously professional, personal, and informative. Of those, I would say informative is probably the most important, and then professional, and then personal. So that's how I would prioritize those. Because if it's not informative, there's no point to having the other two. And so work on making it informative, then work on making it professional, and then you can add in the personality as you need it. So that's certainly a struggle here. So let's see how we want to start thinking about this. I want to get rid of some more of this. That's just kind of fun. Digital maker, web business artisan, digital creator, teaching digital products. And sometimes so we've used a lot of the same language in here, and sometimes it helps to get it off the page and kind of think about other things you can describe yourself as. And it's just all part of brainstorming. And one really good brainstorming technique that we use and that I teach is just setting a timer and trying to come up with as many of these as possible in about a minute. I may have missed was the acronym UP. Oh, sorry. Let me type that out because that's a good question. So it's called Unique Value Proposition. It's kind of a concept I'm borrowing from Lean Startup and Ash Miura and his Lean Canvas proposition. But it's basically like the one sentence or two sentences that you can say this is what makes me a unique or your business like a unique entity and the value that you are delivering. Ultimate viable product, yeah, that's something too. That'd be kind of funny. So that's what I mean when I say UVP. I'll throw that in quotes next to it so other people might see that. And so it's kind of like your tagline, or your one sentence, this is who I am and what makes me me. So that is that. So this is what goes right on that. So this sentence here that's this is who I am and this is my call sort of to action and about what I want to talk about. And some Stripe, we can look at their website. The new standard in online payments, that's their unique value proposition. That's what so we're kind of borrowing this a little bit from product development and other products and bringing it into our own site. That's what I was doing here with the web business artisan. Cool. I think I'm on the wrong page. Nice. So I build artisanal digital products. That's true. I wonder. So I like that. I'm thinking about like how do I incorporate like my creator teacher information into there as well. So let's think about it. I teach, and we kind of had that from before, didn't we? Do I teach folks how to design and code? Sure. That's true as well. What else do I kind of do? I build and teach X thing. Yeah, that would be true, but I have a lot. My problem is I have so many things that I would just get into like a repetitive kind of statement. That's why that's the value of like the unique your UVP. It's like this is like the one thing that I do, and hopefully that gets people. So let's see here. But I like yes, I do build and teach X amount of things. So that's kind of an interesting way to think about it. And this is hard. This is why like people shy away from the content at the beginning, because they don't. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to sit down and think like, okay, what is my unique value proposition? What am I bringing to the table? And sometimes it's better to think about this from your customer's perspective, right? So I've been really thinking about this from my perspective and my labels and who I am. But let me like, if I could think about like the value I've brought to organizations. I mean, I've streamlined. And I'm just going to brainstorm real fast. So I've streamlined organizational processes, built revenue generating products. I've actually designed, built, and launched revenue generating products. And that's not correct. And that be hyphenated. What else have I done? I've taught. It's less about. I've taught is more about me, less about. I guess I've taught. We kind of already have that in here. What else have I done for organizations here? I've produced content. It helps that produce content that teaches. I produce a lot of content, a lot of teaching content too, but I guess engages and elevates. That's like one L. Its audience. That's kind of a hard thing to gauge that. Because I've produced marketing content, but I've produced educational content. I'm a media producer that focuses on teaching others. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know if like media producer feels like somebody who's getting like credits at the end of a movie, and I don't know if I'm that kind of a producer. But I like where that's heading. And maybe it can be more aspirational, right? Maybe think. And help others do the same. I don't know, something like that. And teach others to do the same. That's true, right? Teach others to do the same. Kind of vague, but I create digital content. guess I'd say videos. I blog too. Create digital content. Let's see. Organize teams do the same? I'm not sure I understand. Oh, organize teams? I'm not sure I understand what that is about. I have organized teams. Teams. Oh, no worries. Keep the spitballing coming. That's really what how you sometimes land on your best ideas. It's all about brainstorming. Each other to do the same or create digital content. This is probably one of those things like sometimes when I feel like I'm getting a little stuck here and I'm hitting a wall. And so sometimes I will, to break that wall, focus on something else and come back to this. Just kind of let your subconscious work on this a little bit. That's something that I don't think we're going to come up with this tonight, to be honest. It's probably something that I will be thinking about throughout the week. And then it's like, oh, here are like 3 ideas and we can start with those next week. So that's all part of the process. It's something I've factored into, and I think a lot of folks don't like to factor that into their timelines, but I think it's a really big part of designing and coming up with good ideas and good content. So this will definitely, we're going to let this simmer on the back burner for a little bit and then come back to it. At least this week, that week. Find the core of what you're presenting can be really tough. Yeah, it totally is super tough. And I think, like I was saying, this is what makes this whole process hard for people. And I totally get it. And like I've been doing this for years. When writing something like EVP, do you find writing on paper helpful? Yeah, I do. Writing on paper is a little bit more fluid. I think writing on paper and designing on paper before you hit a digital artifact is generally better. It is just easier for me to share it with everybody on this live stream if I'm typing it. So that's part of why I'm doing it in digital form rather than on pen and paper here. I guess I could flip my webcam around, but that would get a little tricky. So yeah. But yeah, definitely if you're doing this, do it on paper first. That's a good point to make. So I create digital. All right, let's roll with. I want to read Justine's again because I think she does a nice job. So she starts with some labels. And then talks about what she is trying to do. And then what she does do, like other things she does, and then kind of follows it up with a little bit of personality there. So sometimes it's nice, like if you just copy what somebody else has done and throw your essentially variables into it. It's a nice way to kind of approach things. So let me see if I can do the same here. So I guess product designer works. I would say UX designer, my kind of first thing. Yeah, the intro on hers is so she probably put a lot of thought and really thought about what she wanted to communicate through this website, and it really shows. And her story, she's got a short story about herself. Yeah, I think she did a really nice job with all of this. And this is more of that bigger narrative that I was talking about. Yeah, labels, positions first, and then the eyes. Yeah, I think that's a nice way to break it up. So what if I did this? So, and then I would say full stack developer, team player. I am, but I don't know if that's something I want. So that might be when I would say like teacher or mentor. Let's say teacher. Let's say I love to build. So I'm not looking for new opportunities, so I don't really necessarily need to talk about that. But let's talk about what I love to do. I love to build digital products and help others. Two twos. Do the same. Let's see. And help others do the same. Love to build digital products. Then we can say, now we can throw in artisanal here, right? If I can spell it right. Awesome. Yeah, excited to see folks getting into Lambda tomorrow. It's going to be a new cohort, new day. It's going to be awesome. Going to be lots and lots of fun. Digital products, help others do the same. I don't love that transition to help others do the same, but that's fine. Let's start here. We'll keep that here. I give some talks, but not enough to really highlight them. I blog about I wanted to kind of say like I blog about design, tech, and other stuff, but let's say I stream my design process, share my thoughts on my blog, and I don't really play on Dribble. What else do I do? Thank you for the follow there, Joel. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. And what else do I do? Got YouTube video. Could the team player backfire, like mentally place you in a lower role in salary band instead of thinking of you as leader or mentor? Maybe. I think even people want their leaders and mentors to be team players as well. But you're right, that is like semantics in this position. The more I think about it, the more I'm interested in wondering if that would be the case. That'd be a really good A/B tests or user tests, actually. I think people know what you mean when you say team player, and people tend to value that. So I don't think it's the end of the world with that if you go in with team player. But if you're looking for like management roles, I would lead with like your management like credentials instead of maybe your team credentials. But the design and development is so collaborative, like that's like a nice thing I think to have. So I don't know if it would backfire. I don't think that's a stupid question either. I think that's a good question. Good question all around. So what else do I do? I've got my Twitch channel. And I've got my blog. That's really content. Yeah, a little Machiavellian there, but I think that might work for you. Where do we go here? Oh, am I writing in the right spot? Let's see. Let me grab this. Let's see. UX designer, full stack developer, and teacher. I love to build artisanal digital products and help others do the same. I stream my design process, share my thoughts. What do they blog about? So blog about and write about are two different things. I'm going to say write. Blog is more informal and kind of closer to what I do, but write just feels like you're putting more thinking into it. I don't know. At least that's my connotation. Thank you. What does that say? Megabit Labs for the follow? I think I got that right. I need to work with the color contrast on that, but thank you. So UX designer, full stack developer, and teacher. I love to build artisanal digital products and help others do the same. That's another thing. I'm saying this out loud, because it would be weird if I wasn't saying anything on the stream. But that's something I will do frequently in my own writing, just because when you hear it, you can catch little things. And again, it's just a good practice to get into. I stream my design process, write about my thoughts, and I do not play on Dribble. So I love to build. I would take the yeah, blog for fun, but write for work. Yeah, and it does feel a little more formal. What would I say? I build digital artisanal products and love to teach others. Be good if I could write this. I build artisanal digital products. I'd love to teach others to do the same. So I'm going to say I love teaching others how to design and code. Okay, so this is getting a little closer, I think, to what I want to talk about. So UX designer, full stack developer, and teacher. I build artisanal digital products and love. I'm actually going to take artisanal out of here because it just feels too much. So I build digital products and love. I always have a tension between like descriptive, flowery language and just getting direct and to the point. I lean towards directness, especially with like a portfolio site, because like a hiring manager, they've got like 20 seconds to make an opinion on you. And they've got like 3,000 applicants and all that's they're busy. That's what I'm trying to say. And so the faster you can help them process who you are. And I know they kind of are my primary audience, but this is a little bit bigger. So this is kind of a way to help them hone in on who I am. So I build digital products. I love teaching others how to design and code. I stream my design process. Let's see. I stream on Twitch. Yeah, it's getting there, right? And that's why you got to write. You got to get it on paper, because it starts feeling. You get that feeling, and you can work with it. Let's see, folks. I stream at Twitch. I'm gonna go back to blog. Folks, I think brings the whole thing to a more informal feeling. So let's go back to blog. Blog. I want to say latest thoughts. And I don't play on Dribble, but I do play on Twitter. And do I play on Twitter? Do I connect on Twitter? Do I shout on Twitter? I don't think I should. I build and love teaching. Feels weird to me. Yeah. Yeah, you could blog. Cut that out. Blog here, maybe. It's kind of like the pairing of what I'm doing and the location. So blog here. So I kind of like that. And then nice to meet you, I think, is more aligned with like Justine and what she's trying to say. I'm going to go with like, hi, I'm Nick. Although, I'm trying to think. Let's kind of roll with that. No, we're not going to roll with that. That was actually, when I saw it, it didn't look right. So let's bring that back. Command Z really saves me sometimes. Oh, look at that. I build digital products, teach folks how to design and code, and love it. That is great. Great content for YouTube. Yeah. I don't really create content for YouTube as much anymore. Because I'm on Twitch now, and I was just live streaming on YouTube. So, love every second of it. Yeah, I think that's nice. I don't know. I'm going to stay with the shortness. Thank you, Indifferent Ghost. I appreciate that. Teaching greater than teach. Yeah, definitely. Anytime you can like turn it into an action verb, and I'm wondering how we can do that with building. To make it. Oh, I'm sorry. Teaching is what is that? Less than? Greater than? It's been a long day. I had a long car ride today. This has been. They should be fixed. Yeah, so they're the same. Thank you. I see what you're saying. Yes, appreciate it. I got stuck there for a second. Yes, got you. Thank you. I build digital products, teach folks how to design code, and love it. I stream on Twitch, write on my blog. I might say that. Write on my blog, and there we go. Share things. Share thoughts on Twitter. How's that? How's everyone feel about that? I think this is close. And see, this is the value here of, and this comes back to something that I think Steve Jobs is credited as saying, but I don't think he actually, he's like quoting someone else, but nobody knows what it is, who actually said it, but like good artists copy, great artists steal. And this is something that, again, we get a lot of inspiration from places. I would never say don't go out and copy somebody's like whole website. Yeah, Picasso normally gets attributed to it, but I don't know if he actually. I did some research on this once. He might have said it, but I remember, I forget if he did. And so like we copied Justine's content, but then we filled it in with our own context, and it's starting to work a little bit, and it's working for us. And so again, it's like, how do you what have we? What if we? Yeah, we're not plagiarizing, but steal the new ideas. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say here. And what did we steal? We didn't steal her content. That's all unique to her, except for the nice to meet you, which I want to change. But we stole like the way she was presenting the information and just filled it in with, and we changed it. Granted, this is not exactly. She's got like a sentence in the middle. This is me justifying the stealing. She's got a different kind of sentence in the middle, and the nice to meet you. But we're probably going to change this around a little bit. Share thoughts on Twitter. Nice to meet you. So again, and that's I think totally fair game on the internet. If you're putting it out there, it should be. You shouldn't get that offended if somebody is remixing what you've done. If they're stealing it outright, and that's really annoying. I've had people steal my blog posts and post it under their own name. That's really frustrating, and I don't think is good news by any stretch. But if you take my blog post and say, this is a cool idea, let me either write it about a different topic using this format, or remix it and said, Nick was saying this, but here's what I think. Like, that's, I think, all fair game. So nice to meet you. I keep wanting to say pleasure to meet you, because that is what, like, my pleasure is very Southern. I am not Southern. I'm from New York originally, though. So that kind of feels, it's where I'm currently living and feels like part of what I'm currently experiencing, but I don't know if I could pull it off. UX designer, full stack. I like nice more. Yeah, I like nice as well. I kind of want to say enjoy the website, or maybe make it more of a call to action. Yeah, it is a nice mix of informal, formal. I do agree with that. Maybe we can make it more of a call to action, kind of saying like enjoy the rest of the site, or a good howdy. So hire me now. Yeah, that could work in your case, right? Let's play with it, right? So enjoy. Oh, there we go. Enjoy my site. So that feels a little, I don't know, kind of like, well, I spent all this time writing this nice block here, and now I'm going to say like, oh, enjoy the site, screw off kind of thing. I don't know if that's exactly what we want to say. Like, I guess it feels like blasé. Nice to meet you. It does work really well. A bit extra, I think. Yeah, I like the end of the emoji. I think that's cool. Very, again, personal. Informal, but that's kind of what I'm going for here too. Maybe a call to action with contact info. Yeah, I think that would be good. The other thing we could think about here is, I don't know if she does it. She doesn't have a strong CTA. Charlie doesn't really. I wonder what his says about section. He's got patents. That's legit. Oh, let's get in touch for more info. Yeah, social emails. Yeah, about footer. Yeah, and I do want to put some contact info like this in the footer. So I think that makes sense. Oh, keep looking on the. It's a good podcast. I haven't heard it. Let's see. Let's get in touch. And maybe we make this a hyperlink. Or that kind of what? Something like this. I think this was kind of a nice approach. Because what I like this as a UVP, and kind of it's less of a sentence and it's more of like a paragraph. I think that's okay for right now. Yeah, definitely going to do that in the socials. Definitely going to have links to Twitch and whatnot. Definitely, yeah. And I think when I'm thinking about the visual design of this, I definitely want to have a focus on my Twitch and other content. So definitely going to be part of this for sure. But I think this is a fine start here. So I don't want to delete the work I've done, but I'm going to bold this and kind of say this is what I'm leaning towards. Let me go back and look at my labels here and see if there's anything that I missed. Product manager, I think is okay. I'm missing my marketing and entrepreneurial stuff. Right on my blog. Yeah, it does. It does seem weird. I don't love it either. I'm going to say blog about code. Blog on my blog. That's true. All right, let's actually flip this. Blog about code and design. And always mix things up. I stream on Twitch, share thoughts on Twitter, and blog about code and design. Yeah, you can take that all the way. This feels better. Full stack developer. I'm saying design and code here and then saying it again as well down here. So like the repetition is a little weird and it's flipped. Oh, what did we just say? Share thoughts on Twitter. And create content on Medium. I don't really use Medium. Medium is more of my syndication. And I do post things for on my stuff. Yeah, what if we say that then, right for my blog? Right on. Yeah, let's go with that. I build digital products, teach folks how to design code, and I love it. I stream on Twitch, share thoughts on Twitter, and write for my blog. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's get in touch. And I like that as a call to action. Let's get in touch because I do love meeting new people. Yeah, these are all going to be hyperlinks. I should probably have made that clear. Oh. Yeah, so definitely having some hypertext in here is going to help make these look more like calls to action. Okay, so what was I saying? So the one thing that's kind of missing here is like my business experience. Um, but I don't know if that's something I necessarily need to include up top. Cool. Cool. I like where this is heading. This is good. Awesome. I wonder if there's an emoji for this. It's like a shaking hands. That's kind of fun. I thought there was a handshake. Yeah. I don't know. That might feel a little forced. Yeah, business experience does feel more like a resume thing. That's definitely true. Well, let's see here. Okay, cool. Let's roll with this. I think this is pretty nice. Pretty good. And so now we're kind of moving. Now that okay, so this is less of a UVP actually. So this is like a statement that we could pull the UVP from, which is kind of an interesting way to think about it. So we had to go big, and now hopefully we can go small again. And honestly, I want to start from here. I build digital products, teach folks how to design and code, and love it. I like that as a statement. I think that's accurate. Can we make it shorter? I like that. Let's roll with that. I think that'll be fine, UVP. And then the nice thing, so the cool thing about a UVP is you can use that in different contexts, especially if it's short enough. Like, so the Web and Business Arts one was really nice and short and punchy. And so it worked in a lot of different contexts. So for example, like that, this will look, I think, nice in my Twitter account bio. This will look good on LinkedIn. This will look good on AngelList. This will look good on Product Hunt. Where all these other various, like Twitch, I think, can update some of my branding. So this is like, when you have your UVP, you can use it consistently across different platforms. And so people, when they check you out, can keep seeing the same message over and over again. And so when they see me, they're like, oh, this guy, he gets digital products. He likes to teach, clearly passionate about it. So like that, these are the kind of things that I want people to be thinking about me. And so, and this is like where that, like the messaging all comes together. Awesome. So let's call that done. All right. How do I want to present myself to the world visually and through the content? So this is probably when we're going to start stepping into the world of UI design and UX a little bit more. And honestly, I would love to, and this is, we're starting to move away from the the content is going to inform this, which I think is interesting. So let's start talking about the information architecture of the site. I think that's where I want to head next. So information architecture. For those of you who are not into UX or are unfamiliar with this phrase, information architecture, let's talk about that for a second. I'll commonly refer to as IA. I'll actually include put that here as well. So information architecture is like, how do we organize and present and your website's content so that's easily findable and or searchable or scannable by your user. So super important stuff. And it commonly includes stuff like your navigation or your sitemap. Those are kind of like subsets of thinking about your information architecture. Excuse me. But basically in a nutshell, it's like how do we want to organize all this information and kind of present it to somebody? So it makes sense for them. And so one decision I've got to make is like pages versus a single, what do you call it? A single like big scrolling page. And so right now my website has a good chunk of information on it, but I want to put more information on my landing page, and then a little bit less information on the other pages. So for instance, my careers and portfolios sections on my existing website, my career and portfolio, I kind of want to condense those onto the landing page if I can. I'll have the blog be its own page. I think that's important. And then maybe like that about page could be a little bit of its own page. That seems to be like where I'll write more of a narrative about myself. And then all of this, like let's count. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll count all that. It's like these are like just 5 sections. I teach, build, and stream design and code and love it. Yeah, I mean that's pretty accurate. I wonder if people understand what stream means if I say that in a UVP though. What was this? Oh, was that where oh no, we had stuff. Okay. Kind of went away from this a little bit. But I'm gonna copy that because I think that's a nice another thought to have. Oop. There we go. Always, even if you're not going to use something, write it down or keep it around because it can be inspiration later. So that's definitely a good tip to have. So kind of thinking about my information architecture. And this is something else commonly I'll do on paper or in a spreadsheet. But I think for right now, we can kind of just do like a bulleted list for it. Streaming's in the public conscious now? Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that could be something like a user test would be kind of interesting, or user research would kind of uncover. But this is a fairly tech literate crowd, so hopefully they would understand it. And it is so much shorter. Oh, that's the wrong button. I teach, build, and stream design and code. So I guess I do build, design, and code. That part feels the weirdest to me. Like I teach and stream design and code makes sense. But it is. I see where it's getting shorter. I like it. I definitely like the direction it's going in. I'm just wondering if there's another way to make it a little bit more clear, the build side of it, as opposed to like teach and stream design and code makes sense, but build, design, and code is a little less clear. But thinking about it, like I design and code and teach. Yeah, right. That would, I think, be the full kind of encompassing thing. I teach, build, and stream UX design implementation and love it. And maybe this is a reflection. I'm just kind of had a thought here. A reflection on me. Maybe I need to be a little bit. It would be much easier if I was more focused. More focused on like, all right, I want this one thing to be my defining element. Teach folks how to design code on Twitch. Yeah, so like I think in like this Twitch world and like this kind of outside my day job kind of environment, that is definitely how I would sort of define myself right now. But I've also taught people. I've done courses for View School or a course for View School. My blog is technically a teaching environment. I do teach during the day at language school, so I don't want to limit my teaching just to streaming. So I liked how it was separated out. So I'm wondering, like, I design code. It's hard. This is hard. Writing is hard. But I'm gonna come back to this because I think there's value in making it shorter and more direct. is how do we work that build part into this. Cool. So information architecture. Let's talk about this a little bit more. So we're definitely going to go to like a more of a, I guess, a note for myself. More info on the landing page, and this might be like a site hierarchy. Like no, that's what I call it. And what's that going to look like? I design code through building, teaching, and streaming. Yeah, that one. Thank you. I think that one again is getting closer. So let's see here. Let me grab it. Design code through building, teaching, and streaming. Yeah, I think this takes us a step farther away. I don't know. I feel like it's missing something that the other two had, and I'm having a hard time articulating what that is. I think it is there. It's two separate ideas. Like building digital products is one idea, and teaching others how to design and code is another idea. And I'm not sure I need streaming necessarily in my UVP. I think it's because I don't want my unique value proposition to be the channel. I want it to be what I'm doing for people. So what makes me unique is the teaching. The channel is more of like one way I do it. So I don't know if that necessarily needs to be in the UVP itself. So thank you though for wordsmithing on it, and I appreciate it. I'm going to stick with what we have for now, and then we can keep rolling. And then as we come up with the rest of the site, I think this will change. And as we marinate on this for a week, I think it'll change too. So site hierarchy, we're going to have the short one. Design code should be a separate idea from build, teach, and stream. I don't know. I don't know if I think I made it for the short one. Maybe. I mean that's so like those design code are how I build, how I do those other things. Does that make sense? And technically that's not even true. Sometimes I build digital products that are no code. There's still design involved with that, but the no code stuff is pretty fun. You hook up an Airtable to a type form, and that's the product. If you've got the content around it. So sometimes I'll do that. So the design code are almost like a channel, and what I really want to focus on is building digital products and teaching people how to design code. Yeah, I think there's a lot of thoughts and a lot of ways we can interpret this and go with it. So coming back to the site hierarchy here. So we're going to have this landing page, right? It's going to be kind of feel like a one-pager with a lot of info. We're going to have the blog. So I want to keep the blog kind of similar. So that will have like some sort of tags, and then posts. I gotta think how I'm going to do this. But that should be everything there, and then maybe an about page. That could be sort of a longer form. I really like what Justine and I guess also Charlie and a lot of the other ones I've looked at. They kind of have the landing page be more about like who they are, or not who they are, but like just the high level. And then the about page, they really get a chance to talk about themselves. And that's something I want to also try doing. And notice I've gotten rid of the career section, and I've gotten rid of the portfolio section because I want that content to live on the landing page. I want to shorten my portfolio down to maybe 2 or 3 case studies. And then my careers section, I'm wondering, so when I was first starting and I didn't have a ton of content, like that felt really important to me. These days though, I have a LinkedIn. That's kind of where all my content, my careers content lives. My resume is still important. So I don't know. I'm wondering if I can get away with just showing my resume these days, and if I even need to have that sort of like career history thing. Let's see, image-based representation for skills. Did I miss that? On his about page? Let's see. Or maybe it's in the work itself. I don't know if I caught that. Side projects. But there's a lot of good things going on with this site, so definitely going to take a lot of inspiration from here. And then also, or maybe, was it Justine's site? Maybe. Oh, it's fun. She's kind of using this as like a anchor between the other kind of content. Simple with I'm a designer. Oh, up here, I see what you're saying. Yeah, right. He's got a lot going on. He gets away with, like, he's worked on WhatsApp and Facebook, so he's kind of got brands behind himself. And this Moon app has gotten pretty famous as well. So he can kind of let his brands speak for themselves, and that kind of adds weight to who he is as a designer. I don't necessarily have that as much, but it's an interesting communication strategy for sure. So this is the site hierarchy that I'm kind of thinking of here. We'll have the landing page, we'll have the blog, tags and posts kind of live under there. And so this will also have sort of portfolio. This will have I'm sorry, what am I trying to say? Career stuff? Whatever that ends up being. And then what else is going on here? What else? And obviously a lot of the other content I had. So thinking about the like hero section, and we'll have that there for sure. We'll have like the social media. We'll have some sort of latest content. That could be like Twitch or YouTube or the blog or Twitter. Some way to get that in there. Nice. So that's kind of where I'm thinking of organizing my content a little bit. The blog, I think, will be fairly similar to how it is presented. I don't even know if I want to do a newsletter. I need to think about that, how I want to handle my newsletter these days. Probably some way to contact me. That could be in the footer, though. I liked that approach. Nice. Anyone have any questions on that, or how I came up with that? Kind of. I don't know if I articulated enough of what I was thinking here, but or how I came to these decisions. So if anyone has any questions, feel free. It's funny, as you practice UX and you build a lot of sites, I feel like information architecture and organizing things that way is one of those skills that you mature quickly, and you can kind of organize sites in your head a lot faster. At least simple sites like this one. There's not tons of stuff going on here versus a big enterprise project or something like that, but it just feels a little more, one of those things that you can do a little quicker. Definitely being in the footer. Yeah, I think kind of having that in the footer would be kind of interesting. So definitely something we can play with. Nice. Wonder. And it's interesting. So I like these two, and I'm borrowing a lot of ideas from these two. So and that's fine. I think if you find things you like and patterns you like, go for it. Also helps to kind of do your own sort of creative thinking and ideation and coming up with things. So that's definitely something next stream I want to spend some time doing, and also taking a break and not looking at them for a little bit will be helpful with that. And then also making sure you look at a variety of inspiration. So not just like 1 or 2 sites, but like maybe 10 or 20 sites, and kind of saying like, okay, I'm getting lots of ideas from lots of places. And that'll be something we can do as well. Awesome. Well, we're just about up to 2 hours here, and I don't want to keep you all night, and I've got to go eat dinner and all that good stuff. So we'll probably wrap it up here. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll probably stream again on Wednesday night. I don't think I've got anything going on. And so if you have a portfolio that you're currently working on or that you'd like improved, feel free to shoot it to me on Twitter. And then on Wednesday, I can review it and kind of help you level it up as best I can. So feel free to do that. That's kind of what we do on Wednesdays. Otherwise, we will just check out some more portfolios or something like that. Or we can focus on designing or creating something in code or something like that. I'm kind of, Wednesdays I feel like are pretty going to be like fun days, whereas Saturdays and the weekends will focus more on this project. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. If you have a portfolio, feel free to share it. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been awesome spending this Sunday evening with you, and we'll see you on Wednesday. So have a good one.